So we are done with all the presentations. Any high-level response that kind of ties everything together? Anything you want to add?
I feel like in the end, despite like government policy, what it really comes down to is what people are willing to do for social good. And like, I think that was what I really understood from the Sweden response, because I don't think herd immunity is a good way to go around, but like, I feel like people were responsible, and that's where it didn't go too badly there.
Yeah, I think, Rafa, it actually is the capacity of the healthcare system that might be what is causing this. Because like in northern Italy, that literally like they ran out of rooms, they ran out of everything. So like no matter who you are, rich or poor, if you were in northern Italy, there was no help you were getting. And so that's why, those people just happen to be rich.
But also, it's not just about people being obedient or something. There are a few fundamental limitations. If I can quickly share my screen for a minute here. So I just Googled and noted down the population densities of some of the countries that we talked about today. So you'll see in Sweden, you see the population density is 64 people per mile square, whereas in India it's 1200, right? And you'll see that in Italy it's on the mid 500s. So I think one statistic was presented that 1 in 4 people in Mumbai, right, was found to have antibody or something, right? So you'd see that, you know, if you just think of it as an agent-based simulation, people in India would be much likely to have, you know, contradict or to have COVID-19 from social contraction than in Sweden, right? So maybe that might be one reason why Sweden opted for herd immunity, because they know that just due to this advantage, they would be hurt less, right? And that might not be a feasible policy for other countries like India.
Gotcha.
Great point.
That was a really good point.
All right, so just I really enjoyed all the talks. I think I learned a lot from all of you, and now I think I have a global perspective of different things. And one thing that I want to reiterate, that often as computer scientists, we may build a piece of technology and we may think, okay, we're just going to import it to wherever we want it to be. But the take-home message is that there's a religious obligations, like we have seen in Israel. There are socioeconomic differences, like we've seen in places like Singapore and other countries. There are compliance from the citizens, education, authenticity of data, like we've seen of Brazil, self-sufficiency or geographical isolation. That's also a factor. Clear communication. So all this can play with the way the technology would work. So what I want you to remember, that once you build a piece of technology for anything like this, think about those factors, and those factors will drive whether the technology is even useful, and if it is, in what way it might be useful. So I think those metrics are useful to think about. As you've seen, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. Depending on many factors, some solution works, some just simply don't. So we didn't talk about the other country that's way up in the chart, as Melissa pointed out, above UK, that didn't fit the chart, but we'll talk about that country in the next class, and we'll go into the States. But that's all I had for today. Any questions? If not, if you haven't had dinner, let's enjoy dinner, and we'll see you next week.
Awesome. Sounds good.
See you guys.